This is the PUCKIPUPPY Boxer ST, a full suspension 26x4 fat tire e-bike. My honest first impression, after a week of daily rides, is that it feels like a rolling couch with a motor. It smooths out broken pavement and gravel more than I expected, and it has that easy, low-effort vibe that a lot of new riders want. It's also a big, heavy machine with some quirks you need to know before you buy. Key features that stood out to me are the 48V 20Ah removable battery, the rear hub motor that peaks at 960 watts, hydraulic disc brakes with 180mm rotors, a true step-thru frame with full suspension, and a claimed 400 pounds total payload. Mine shipped with the promo luxury ride accessory bundle. Rear rack, fenders, mirrors, phone mount, lock, cup holder, cover, and a mini inflator, which saved me a bunch of add-on hassle. If you're watching this later and that bundle isn't included, factor in the cost of fenders and a rack, because this bike really benefits from both. From my experience, the ride quality is the headline. The fork is an adjustable coil unit, and the rear shock is a simple design, nothing fancy, but paired with the 4-inch tires, it turns rough paths into light chatter. On city streets with cracks and patches, the Boxer ST takes the sting out. On fire roads, it stays planted and predictable. The feeling is plush more than precise. If you're coming from a hardtail or a rigid bike, it'll feel like a big upgrade in comfort. If you're used to higher-end suspension, you'll notice that the damping is basic. After a couple of rides, I had a minor creak from the rear linkage, and the fork felt a little sticky on a cold morning, then loosened up mid-ride. It's not a deal-breaker, but it does remind you this is more about comfort than high-performance control. The motor behavior is classic cadence sensor e-bike. Quick explainer for newcomers. A cadence sensor turns on motor power when your pedals are rotating, regardless of how hard you push. It delivers a low-effort feel that's great for cruising or commuting without sweating. A torque sensor, by comparison, responds to how hard you're pushing on the pedals and feels more natural, but that's not what this bike uses. Here, each PAS level simply adds more assist. In my testing, PAS1 hovered around neighborhood speeds and felt mellow. PAS3 floated me in the low 20s miles per hour and is where I rode most of the time. And PAS5 pushed past the typical Class 3 ceiling. With light wind and a long flat, I saw the speedometer tick over 28 miles per hour. Out of the box, the throttle topped at 20 miles per hour. If you unlock the higher PAS speeds, check your local rules and ride responsibly. Hill performance lines up with the numbers. The motor feels peppy on flats and rolling paths. On a steep climb with throttle only, it slows down and you can hear it working. With PAS5 and normal pedaling, it gets up a short steep hill fine, but it's not a mountain goat. In my opinion, the tuning favors top speed and cruising rather than super high torque for long steep grades. If your daily route is hilly, be ready to pedal along in the higher PAS levels. Range has been strong. I weighed just over 200 pounds and carried a small backpack. On a mixed urban loop in PAS3, I got 42 miles before the last bar started blinking. On a chill path ride in PAS1, at 12 to 13 miles per hour, I stretched into the 70s. With lots of throttle and some trail sections, I landed in the 30 to 40 mile zone. That lines up with the 40 to 80 mile claim, if you remember that speed, terrain, wind, and rider weight matter. Charging with the included 54-volt 2-amp charger is the trade-off. From around 10% to full, mine took about 9.5 to 10 hours on a wall outlet. That's an overnight-only plan. If you ride long days back-to-back, you'll want to manage charge windows carefully. Braking is excellent for this class. The hydraulic discs have real bite and predictable modulation. The only thing I noticed under absolute emergency stops was a quick shudder from the rear triangle, likely the strong brakes overwhelming the basic rear shock for a moment. It's brief, but it's there. If you mostly brake progressively, it's smooth and strong. Tires grip well on pavement and packed dirt. I ran 18 to 20 psi for comfort and traction and bumped to the mid-20s for a quicker feel on smooth streets. The cockpit is straightforward. The color LCD is bright in daylight, and the controls are simple. I appreciate that the brand uses a Shimano 7-speed derailleur with a trigger shifter on my unit. Shifts were clean under light load. The saddle is wide and cushy, more cruiser than racer, and the grips are comfy. The throttle is a thumb lever on the right, and it's easy to feather through traffic. Walk mode came in clutch when I had to push the bike up a short driveway. About the frame, the step-thru is low and makes hopping on and off easy, which I really like in stop-and-go riding. The rear shock does crowd the middle of the frame a bit, so you don't get a totally open step through a big open space feeling. But it's still easier than a traditional top tube. The frame feels stiff enough for the weight and speed, and the 400-pound payload claim is a big plus for riders who want to carry gear or who just appreciate a higher capacity bike. It's worth noting the total bike weight. On my scale, it came in a touch over 82 pounds, with pedals, rack, and fenders installed. That's heavy. It rides fine, but lifting it into a hatchback or upstairs is not fun. If you don't need to lift it often, it won't be a problem. If you do, plan ahead. Noise and feel are solid for a hub motorbike. At cruising speed, there's a gentle electric hum and tire rumble. Nothing harsh. The cadence assist comes on quickly and can feel a bit on-off at lower speeds. If that's new to you, give it a few rides. Your legs and hands learn the timing and it becomes predictable. The display menu lets you tweak acceleration response, which helped me smooth out starts in traffic. It's perfect for riders who want comfort, range, and a relaxed feel more than they want a light, sporty machine. It's also a smart pick for bigger riders or anyone hauling stuff, thanks to the high payload rating and the stout frame. For short to medium commutes, it makes arriving sweat-free very doable. For gravel paths, parks, and weekend exploring, it's a chill way to cover miles without getting beat up. There are a few things I'd change. I wish the charger were 3x4 amps so a partial top-up didn't take so long. I'd like a slightly more refined rear shock to reduce that shudder on panic stops. And even though I love the floating feel, I'd enjoy a torque sensor option for riders who want a more natural pedal response. Small note, keep an eye on pivot hardware and give it a once-over after your first few rides. My creak went away with a quick check and a tiny dab of lube. In my opinion, the value lands well if you catch the accessory bundle. The rack is sturdy, the fenders cut the spray, the mirrors and phone mount are handy, and not having to chase these extras after the fact is a win. The included tools were enough to finish assembly, which took me about an hour. The brand support was responsive when I emailed about the creak. They got back to me the same day. From my experience, the Boxer ST delivers on the promise of a smooth, stable, low-effort ride with real range. It's not a climber's dream, and it's not a featherweight, but it's reliable, comfortable, and honestly kind of addictive on long bike path days. The speed on PAS5 can creep above the typical limit, so be smart about where you use it. If you're shopping for your first e-bike and want something forgiving and confidence-boosting, this fits. If you already ride high-performance setups and crave razor-sharp handling, this won't replace a premium build, but it could be your comfy daily. I'd recommend this for commuters up to, say, 10 to 15 miles round trip who can charge overnight, heavier riders who need the extra capacity, and anyone who values suspension comfort on mixed surfaces. If you live upstairs or need to lift it often, make sure walk mode and a ground-level storage plan are part of your setup. In conclusion, the PUCKIPUPPY Boxer ST is a big, cozy, long-range step-thru that's all about making riding easy and enjoyable. It trades ultimate finesse for comfort and practicality, and it owns that lane. If that matches how you ride, it's a strong pick. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your questions or what you want me to test next. Thank you for watching.